Let's do the last thing, which is now the application part. And this is on our application, the last thing we're doing is the equation of the tangent and the rate of change. Let's go and see what it is that we must know about these 2 points. So we are doing part 8, which is the last one, and this is good. So we are doing application now. Let's apply our knowledge. First thing we do here is the equation of the tangent. Equation of the tangent. You meet questions which say, oh, but equation of the tangent, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? When you want to do these questions, don't really put yourself into reading the English and trying to understand. No, once you see the word equation and the word tangent, that's what you need. And then just look where they say the point is at. So now, for you to do equation of the tangent, can I ask you, is tangent a curve or a line? I'm sure you said it's a line, right? Tangent is a line. So if we want to find the equation of the tangent, we want the equation of a line. And I know that from your high school, BG or IG, whatever you did, you'd have said y is mx plus c is the equation of the line. We no longer want to see this. This is out. It is true, but we don't use it anymore. We use this one. Y minus y1 is equal to m multiplying x minus x1. This is now the one we use. For those that did A-level, I'm sure you remember. So this is the one we use when we now want the equation of a line. And for this one, we only need 2 things. So 2 things are required to find the equation. Number 1, m. M, which is the first thing is m, which is the gradient. And how do you find that gradient? You differentiate, okay? And then that is part I. And then part 2, you substitute the point. Substitute the x value. Then you have the gradient, okay? You differentiate, then you're going to tell it where you are and it will give you the gradient because the derivative is a machine. When you differentiate, you create a machine, which is a machine that can tell you gradients. So now you just need to tell it where you are, then it will tell you. So you just differentiate and put the x value, then you have your m. Then now, this is, so you, and that m you are coming to put it here as a value. Then the second thing is going to be x1, y1. This is the point on a curve. This is a point on a curve, okay? Point on the line and on the curve as well. So point on the line, which is on the tangent line. And how do you get it? You put the x value. They're going to give you the x value only, and you're going to put the x value into the original function, and you're going to find the y value, okay? You put the x value into the original function, and then that will give you the y value. And when you get that y value, now your point will be x1, y1 is the point, okay? The value you get, so you can say here, y1 is the solution. Then y1 is the solution, and x1, let me remove this, put it down here. y1 is the solution, and you must know that so x1, y1 is the point, but you must know that x1 is the x value, right? So you'll be having the x value, and that x value is going to be the x1. You put it in the original function, it'll give you y1, because there is no equation that has x1 and y1. No, but they have y and x. So y and x, we leave them, but y1 and x1 must go. And for x1 you put the point, the x value. For y1 you put the y value. For m you put the solution, which we said you get, and you're going to have the equation of the tangent in no time, and you will be done. Now the last part is how to find now rate of change. So rate of change is so easy. Rate of change, if you're dealing with something cost that is increasing or whatever, you just differentiate and put the value which they have given you, and you have the rate of change. So it's very easy. Now for motion though, for motion questions, what you must remember is this. You must remember that you'll be having s equal to something, okay? Sorry for that. You're going to have x equal to something. X is going to be equal to something. Then you're going to have v be equal to ds dt, okay? V is going to be the derivative of s, right? And then you're going to have a be equal to dv dt. So you must find all 3 here. You must find s, you must find v, which is ds dt, and you must find a, which is dv dt. That's why you're doing this question in differentiation. So you must find these values. once you have found these values, okay, once you have found these values, you have found S, you have found V, or whatever, once you have found these values, then you can start to apply them. So you must have S, you must have V, you must have A. Once you have them, you can start to apply them. And how do you get, the question can also ask you to say, give us V and give us A in terms of T. You get them this way. V is ds dt and A is dv dt. This may not be an S, it may be a Y. In that case, you just say V is dy dt, okay? But A is still going to be dv dt, okay? And they'll say Y is the height, whatever. You just do that and you can get it. Now, once you have this thing, to then answer the question, you now need to know which equation to choose, because there will be equation 1 here. This will be equation 2 for V, equation 3 for A. You want to know which equation to use, or what should I use to get the value. You always use the one which has what they have given you. So for example, they will say, how long did it take to reach the maximum height? If they say, how long did it take to reach the maximum height? You should ask yourself, what is special about maximum height? Okay, at maximum height, what happens? At maximum height, what happens? Because they'll say, they can say, find the time it takes to get to or how long does it take to get to the maximum height? You ask yourself, what happens at maximum height? At maximum height, we know that something stops. So V is 0, because if you fly up, something is thrown up in the air, it's going to fly up until it gets to the maximum height. It will stop a bit, then start falling down. So at maximum height here, V is 0. Temporarily, just for a short time, it's going to stop, then start falling. So at maximum height, V is 0. So that means this question has given you V, and they have given you V as 0. So which equation do you use on the 3? You use the equation for V, because that's what you have, and you can find the time. And if you have the time, you can then find how far the maximum height was. You then come and put the time into the equation for S, and you can have, because all of them will be in terms of T. What about if they ask you to say, how long did it take to reach the ground? Okay, to reach the ground. Oh my goodness, how long did it take to reach the ground? You need to interpret it to what it means. What does it mean? What happens when you reach the ground? Someone will say you'll be moving at 0. If you're moving at 0 when you hit the ground, that means you don't have any pain because you're not moving. Remember, something that drops onto the ground will feel pain. Boom! Oh my goodness, that was painful. It's because you hit the ground at maximum speed. You don't hit it at 0. That is wrong. You then become 0 only after you hit. But you hit the ground at maximum speed. So that we don't say V is 0 when you hit the ground. When you reach the ground, don't ever say that. So what happens when you reach the ground? You are back where you started. That means S is equal to 0. So what do we use to get any solution? We start with this one. So you always, maybe sometimes they can give you one which needs 2 steps. But definitely, you know, the first step is going to be the one that goes with what you have been given. Here you've been given that you are reaching the ground, which means S is 0. So the very first one you use is the one for S. If we are going to use the one for V to get anything else, because they can ask you, what was the speed when it hit the ground? Well, first you know that when it hit the ground, S is 0. So that's what you should write. When it hits the ground, S is 0. So definitely I should use the equation with S. You take that equation with S. The moment you say S and when you hit the ground, S is 0, that means you're using the equation for S. You can't use the equation for V when you know that S is 0. No. If you're going to use it, you would use it in the second step. So the one that has something you've been given, use it in the first step. That is the key. Because I don't know the question they're going to ask you, but they're going to give you something. What they are giving you is going to be the equation you use first. And you substitute what they've given you. So here S is going to be 0. So I'm going to use the equation for S. And I'll make S be 0. Then I'll find T. And then I can, if they ask me how fast was I moving when I hit the ground, I'll now come with T and put it in the equation for V. And I'll have V. But the secret is, use the S one because you have been given S. If you have been given V, use the V one. Then you're going to get all your solutions. And that is it for the application. Goodbye for now. We'll see you in the questions. Bye.